Hey, Nick, good to see you. Thank you for participating in this podcast series.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So tell me, who is Nick Bozarth? Tell the people who you are.
I'm a mocap technician for Raven Software. Work on the Call of Duty series, basically any of the live ops like Warzone or the main titles like the most recently shipped one, Modern Warfare 2.
Nice. So where are you from?
I'm from Wisconsin.
Really? That's a pretty
Yep.
cold state.
Yep. Part of the fun is just we get, two seasons. We get hot and sweaty and cold.
Yeah, that's Wisconsin.
Yep.
So, I mean, but what's it like living there?
It's not too bad. I enjoy like the scenery that we have around here. We get a lot of like just beautiful nooks and crannies that are kind of spread around outside the cities. There's a lot of it's easy to get out into rural area and just enjoy the nature that's around us. We have not a ton of like mountainous areas, but I don't know, like the forests and stuff like that. A lot of good walking trails and stuff around.
Mm,
Um, Plus the people are nice, and we have good cheese, so that's all
yes,
positive.
Wisconsin is very known for the cheese.
And beer. We
Yeah, oh
we got a lot
yeah.
of good
Let's
beer.
not forget about the beer. I don't know if you would catch me in a cheese head though, but yeah. But the beer, yeah, we're known for that.
Mhm.
So what's the cost of living over there? Is it like super high, super low, in the middle?
It's pretty low comparatively to a lot of states in the U.S. I think we're uh, decently far along on that. For like the area that I'm in specifically, it's our house wasn't terribly expensive compared to living costs, and our cost of living in general is pretty low. Especially when you hear about a lot of the game studios in areas like out in California way, where a lot of them are primarily based.
Yeah.
It's a third of the cost.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. Well, I got friends all over actually, but I have friends that live in Cali right now, and I had a friend who recently moved from Cali because of the whole cost of living. Um, just to own a home there is just ridiculous. The prices are through the roof. I don't know how it is in New York, but I think
I
everybody.
think New York might actually be worse than
Oh,
California.
really? Wow. I
Yeah,
didn't.
like I think that's one of the highest cost of living states in the world, but
Really?
I could be wrong on that. It's up there though. It's
I
crazy.
thought California was in the lead, but I do have a friend in New York, so I can ask him, hey, is it Cali or New York?
Yeah, like a good apartment around here, around like the Madison area or anything like that, it's around $1,500 a month. Like it's not cheap for a decent place, but it's not bad. Versus like California or New York, you're looking 3 grand plus easy per month.
Ouch.
My brother's fiance just moved to California for a work position out there, and she got like a studio apartment kind of thing. I think it was like maybe one bedroom kind of thing. It was small, but it's like $3,200 a month for rent out there. It's insane. And I
Wow.
know some people that were a couple of my coworkers that came from New York said that it's like 3,500 a month for rent and stuff like that out there. It's insane.
Just for a
I got
studio? Wow.
it just for something small that's livable.
Like
It's like
a
that.
one bedroom is like $3,500?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Ouch.
Where out here it's a lot easier on the pocketbook.
Yeah. It's just the weather that turns people off. The
Yeah.
extreme cold and then the extreme heat. It's like very little in between that.
Yep. We go
So
from one extreme to the other, and like no spring, no fall, really. We just get early winter and late spring that's still half winter, and then it gets wet for a couple weeks, and then it's hot.
right, and then it's humid. Let's not forget about that humidity
Oh
that can
God, yeah, the humidity is horrible.
shoot that heat index up to 105 or some crazy number like
Yep.
that. Yeah, I'm definitely I have central air, so I stay in the house during that whole entire period. So
Oh yeah.
I don't like the heat.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Our AC broke last year. Yeah, it was horrible.
oh no.
Yeah, we had to get that. We had it down for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, while it was getting to the worst bits. But thankfully, we got it fixed before August. But oh my God, it was miserable.
I know it
And
was.
we have big dogs, and they're upset about being hot, so they try and come and tell you. They're like on you the whole time. It's like, I'm upset about this whole situation. This sucks. It's like, yeah, I know, me too, buddy. And you're making the situation so much worse by panting on me.
Yeah, and you have long haired dogs, right? They're not short haired.
Oh no, we have two mastiffs
Oh yeah.
and a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
So they're all
Mm-hmm.
short hair,
Okay.
but they shed a lot, and they're not about to be quiet if they're unhappy about anything.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Your job sounds very interesting. A motion capture technician sounds like a big deal. Sounds very cool. Can you describe for me what a motion capture technician does?
Well, so the mocap system that we use is called Cortex, and that it's part of a broader system that's under a company called Motion Analysis. The idea behind motion capture is that you use an array of cameras that are capturing at a high frame rate and projecting out from a light array a bunch of infrared,
Mm-hmm.
and then the cameras are tuned in to pick up that infrared light. And to track things, we put an optical marker that is wrapped in like a reflective tape,
Mm-hmm.
and the light that bounces off of those is picked up by the cameras, and then it calculates based on the array of cameras that you have. Like our space has 50 cameras
Wow.
that are spaced all around our volume. We have like a 35-foot volume, so we have a big open flat square that we can do all of our performance on, and the cameras are all aimed in towards that. And by projecting all the infrared onto those and reflecting it back and reading where those positions are, it's able to use multiple of the cameras to triangulate the position in 3D space.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to record animation and put that onto a skeleton based on where that locational data is coming from.
Wow. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to see all that stuff to come together and see how it's able to translate all that into a virtual space and be able to live feed that into animation softwares like Maya or a Motion Builder.
So you like it, huh?
Uh, oh yeah, it's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
It's we get to work with a lot of really cool stunt actors, a lot of cool characters. We get to meet some of the big cast that gets scanned in that are like the main characters and voice actors for the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we get to interact with all the people, and it's a very I don't know it's a very hands-on job
Mm-hmm.
for a video or animation type position
Mm-hmm.
because you are actively working in both the software and in the physical space. Like so,
Oh.
when we're recording something, we build an approximate of what the virtual space is going to be. So, like if we have a level that's say like a bar, we'll take crates or pipes or like tables and different series of props that we have, and we'll build out in our volume. We'll build the physical representation of what's going to be in that space. So the actors are able to actually interact with things that are in real space, and then that correlates as directly as possible to the virtual space, and we're able to get very accurate animation and representation and spatial awareness for our actors, and that translates incredibly well into the final animation.
That's pretty cool. So is that like a basic what's your basic setup for motion tracking? Because like do you like the client comes to you guys and then do you already have it set up before the client get there or do you talk about the setup?
Well, in this case, because we are working in-house, our client is basically our animation team, the hand key guys. So a lot of that does come down from them. Like they get the base idea from our design team, then the animation team does like a block in of what they want the space to kind of perform like. So they'll have little bits like they'll have like a walkthrough with just a T pose thing or a very very static pose kind of thing like that, or they'll have just little block ins of like I need the actor to walk from here to here and touch this and do this here, kind of thing like that. So we'll get uh, a scene with our virtual representation of what our shot for the day is going to be, and we'll talk with the animator and kind of get a broader idea of where we want that to actually go, how they want it to perform, how many actors they need, and stuff like that. And then from all of that information, we'll then take the 3D scene that they have, which is usually a level asset that's been pulled from the game, and it'll give us all of our spatial stuff that we need. So then we can take some of our tools that we have. We have so for lining things up, we have a like a reticle that we've built out of PVC pipe. So we can use that to do our XYZ location and track that. And then we can use this floating reticle basically to use that to find objects in real space. And then because we have it streaming live into our virtual space, we're able to use that to track and place where something is directly in correlation to our physical space in the virtual space. So we're able to very in depth get most of the stuff set up beforehand, and then we use like I said, crates and tables and any other props that we need, and build up the physical scenery for the actors. So preparation does take a little bit of time, but it's not terrible, and it helps in the end a lot. Because like then the day comes where we're actually shooting it, everything is taped out. We know where everything's supposed to go, so we can scene change very quickly, and we're able to just go next to the next to the next rather quickly, and just build up the small things that we need to make the interactable space match up very quickly.
Wow, that's impressive. So there's people upstairs that work it out first, and then you guys get the information, and then that's how you come together and do the motion tracking, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's all kind of that pipeline coming down to us, our
Okay.
clients, our design team and animators, and they give us what they need, and we make it happen. So it works out
Now,
pretty well.
now the animators, do they do like storyboarding at all? Like, create it?
Yes, the design team and the animators work together to do like a storyboarded version of a block-in where they have very basic motion for things for like if they need a certain timing for something to happen in, or they need like a general motion of like point A to point B kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They'll use the virtual scenes basically as their tracking board for that. Um, and sometimes we'll have like little video clips or audio clips that we'll have to match to. It's all
Wow.
kind of dependent on the scene,
Right.
where it is in production wise, and what the specifications for what they actually need out of it are.
That's interesting. So what do you think? Can a beginner create a motion tracking setup and, like, shall we say, work from home, sort of like a recording
Um,
studio?
to a point, it is possible, but unfortunately, it's kind of one of those ones where you do need uh, a rather big investment startup for it.
Yeah.
There are alternative options, like there are kinetic motion suits, like um, God, what is it? Completely drawing a blank on it now. Um, there we go. Extends. Yeah, the Extends suit is a kinetic motion suit that there are a number of them out in the market. The Extends is one of the most popular ones.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a couple of sensors that you put across your body. So like the suit itself has a bunch of like lines running through it, and then you have sensors on the back of your hands and on your knees and on your feet and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's able to capture all of your motion just based off of its location, and like it has like spatial magnetic trackers
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it uses all of that data to do an approximation to be able to do a rough form of motion capture. It's not going to be the same as optical. Optical is a lot more accurate,
Okay.
but for a beginning or smaller studio, a kinetic motion suit like the Extends one would be a good option for that. The cost to entry on one of those is around 12,000. Um,
Wow.
like it's expensive, but it is
Right.
it's a whole setup
Yeah.
for that, which isn't too terrible, depending on the size of the studio.
Right.
Um, for our setup, it's closer to half a mil.
Wow. That's yeah. That's quite the investment.
Yeah, it's not a small endeavor, but like the depending on the studio and the use case and stuff like that, it is definitely worth it. I mean, we've been pumping out game after game, year after year with the Call of Duty franchise, and a lot of that is thanks to our ability to be able to very rapidly capture the amount of animation that we need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And having a good motion capture system in place enables our animators to focus a lot more on polish and on getting something that brings us that next level quality comparatively with a lot less animators and a lot less time spent.
Oh
So we're able
wow.
to because we're capturing most of the spatial interaction before it even gets to them. We're getting a lot of like there's just the base motion of stuff. Like we're getting a lot of the tedium that would take a lot of prep time. We're cutting all of like the animation pipeline that would take, say, 10 hours for one animation. We're cutting it down to like 3 hours now
Oh
because
great.
it's just polishing at that point.
Yeah, and it helps with production. You know.
Oh yeah.
Um, I mean that's
It's nice too because we can rapid fire pre-visualization of things
mm-hmm.
because all it takes is getting an actor or one of our in-house guys to put on a suit and us to fire up the cameras and hit record. And even if they don't clean it or anything like that, it
Mm-hmm.
gives them motion in the space and something to play with and something to see what it's going to actually look like beforehand. So we're not wasting a lot of time in animation cleanup and stuff like that. We do
Wow.
actually do um, the- we do what's called live action as well, where we basically just have the actors that are going to be perform in a certain scene. They'll come in a couple of days or a week ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we'll take the script and we'll run through it, and we'll build up the scenery. We'll do like uh, mats for walls and stuff like that, and build out the idea of the space so we can get instead of just a pre-visualization of just the animation, we can do the whole set dressing and make it so it feels like this is what the scene is going to look like. So you can get a whole just the whole idea of what the scene is supposed to be, so you can iterate on that much more quickly as well. And
No.
it's a fun time to get our actors in and just get them a head start on what the
Mm-hmm.
choreography for the day would be.
Mm-hmm. So did you mention the type of cameras, or can you mention the type of cameras? Is it
Yeah,
3D cameras or another kind? 4K? I don't know.
Uh, it's resolution wise isn't really what they're aiming for. They're doing very high frame rate capture,
Okay.
and it's dialed in more for just looking for those dots. So
Oh, okay. I
we're
got it.
not using them in the same sense as what a normal optical or like what you would think of as a normal camera kind of tracking thing. Like you're not looking for 4K resolution.
Okay, gotcha.
That's too slow for what we need. So we shoot at a much lower resolution so we can go much faster.
Oh, gotcha.
Uh, so we're because we're able to hit such a higher frame rate, we're able to get a lot better tracking on the motion because it's just tracking dots in a black space basically.
Oh, yeah.
The camera system that we're using is from Motion Analysis, and we're using the Kestrel 4200s in our current space.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll have to look that up. But no, keep talking the technical stuff because I have a few guys that are like super, super gamers and they love this stuff. So,
It's
um,
harder I don't know explain in just the terms of the technical thing. It's seeing the interaction and like the dance of everything together that really makes it come alive. It's
right,
really cool.
right.
Because like the cameras themselves are cool. It's like I said, it's a very high frame rate capturing one. We
Mm-hmm.
have it has a little ring array that sits around the lens that projects infrared light into the space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And each camera tracks its array basically of infrared.
Mm-hmm.
So by careful aiming, we're able to cover the entire volume that we're using in that infrared, and by being able to use multiple cameras that are able to see things from different angles, it's able to triangulate the virtual space of that.
Okay.
Everything needs to be calibrated to itself beforehand to just so that the cameras all know where each other are in relation.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to build out the virtual capture volume,
Oh.
and then we do that basically every shoot. We start off with establishing what the virtual version of the stage looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So all the cameras know where they are and where they are in relation to everyone else, and then where the floor is, so that when they're tracking stuff like that, they're able to get a much more accurate uh, sense of where everything is.
Right.
Um,
It,
and the cameras are all hooked up via a LAN connection that's running through a server that we have internally.
mm-hmm.
So everything is running on high-speed Ethernet and then fiber cable to be able
Ah.
to get everything syncing very quickly, very fast. Like most of the uh,
It's
most of the
okay.
sense of things is everything needs to be fast. Everything needs to be working very quickly and keeping up with what the system and what everyone else is doing.
Right.
Because like if you're waving your hand around really quickly, you want if it's something that you need to be able to capture that, you need to be able to capture something that's faster than the eye can see technically.
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, it. I'm just taking it all in. I mean, it sounds great. Like I said, I know a lot of guys who are gamers, and some work in the gaming field. One of my closest friends is a gaming producer, and I just
Oh,
did,
much love and respect to those guys. Like
yeah, I did
they
a
don't get enough
podcast with
credit.
him. I did. His name is Paul Motion. I just did a podcast with him, and he kind of briefly described what he did and stuff. But I thought it was cool.
No, that is an extremely vital role. Like we have so many hats spinning all the time. It is crazy trying to keep up with everything because we have to deal with the design, we have to deal with animators, we have to deal with like our actors, we have to handle our own like cleaning schedule and recording schedule, and then we have to do paperwork and this XYZ out the wazoo on everything. It's so
Hmm.
many things that are going constantly to be able to make things work.
Hmm.
Uh, our producer is fantastic. We
That's nice.
Yeah, she makes our lives so much easier.
Oh, nice. I'll let my friend Paul know that he's appreciated. He's actually trying to get me into doing music for gaming. So
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna be looking into that, and I'll talk to you later about that. But your career sounds pretty awesome. It sounds very awesome. Now, one of my next question is, what would you tell a high school student or anyone who wants to pursue your career?
Oh, yeah, actually, I have to pause and think about this one for a sec.
Oh, no problem.
All right. It's hard to say because it is such a unique kind of thing. Is you don't there isn't as many there aren't as many schools or options for actually learning it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like if you are interested in motion capture specifically, I would definitely start by looking for a school that teaches it
Mm-hmm.
because it is something that is very specialized. Um, I got lucky in that the school that I went to just happened to have a mocap stage that was on hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they weren't teaching it specifically, but because we did have one on hand, obviously it's like, well, this is really cool. I just want to, take a semester and I want to play with this as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was in the track for animation and I was spending most of my time actually working on hand key and stuff like that, which is the more traditional sense of things.
Right.
But uh, because we had a setup, this was much older one, much smaller. It was I think we had 12 cameras. It was a Vicon system that
Mm-hmm.
was running Blade 3.2, I believe. Like it was an older system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they touted how like, oh, this is so cool that we have this, but then they just like no one ever used it. So it was a lot of fun to get to go in and just experience that for the first time with having my teacher Brian Menina, who took the time to like kind of give me an intro of it and show me kind of what was going on with it. and just get to to see that. It's like, wow, this is insane. So from those little seeds of it, I was able to take some time. It's like, okay, can I come in here and use this? This is great.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully he let me kind of have free run of it for a bit, and we were able to do like get some ROMs, get some different captures. We ended up using it for an animation project that was part of a final that was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And like uh, shout out to all the teachers too that sparked the interest and kept things going.
Oh
Brian
yeah.
Menina and Seth Swanson especially were two of
Yes.
my biggest inspirations. They were fantastic. And everyone else at MATC was just great too. Like
Yes.
there's so many great creative minds there, and it was so much fun to just learn and absorb everything while I was there.
Right. I mean, for the great reveal here, for the audience, Nick and I are former college classmates, and we went to one of the best colleges out there. We had some pretty good instructors, so. But continue. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah. Oh, I forget what I was going.
Oh,
Okay.
that's okay.
For how do you pursue into this career, right? So yeah, I would definitely start by looking into a school that has some level of mocap in there because it is something that is very difficult to try and learn on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And you because of the entry cost of getting a system that works.
Right.
There are cheaper options now. There are kinetic suits. There are infrared trackers that you can use like a Kinect, like an old Xbox 360 Kinect was a very basic form of what the motion capture cameras that we use are. And like there's things that are even just using your iPhone. You can stand in front of it and you can do basic motion capture that's just based off of the motion that it's seeing, and it's doing like a color filter to track where it thinks your hand is, and it builds a skeleton off of that. So there are a lot of ways to get into it in a light form.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be to the same extent that you can necessarily go in and start applying to jobs with,
Right.
but there's a lot of ways to get into it, and that's part of it. So you just have to start dipping your toes into it and seeing how it feels to actually get into it, uh, where your passion lies with where you can take it, and then not just recording it and calling it good at it's like, hey, I recorded this animation and it's moving now. It's also just taking it through the whole process of getting it cleaned up and stuff like that too. Like actually finish the whole pipeline for it is a big thing. And um, it's one of those things that you once you get into it and you really dive in,
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy just to get lost in how crazy it is and how
Right.
just expansive it is, like all the possibilities that you can go with on it. Like it's not just body capture, it's also facial capture, and then it's not just facial capture, it's also finger capture, and then it's not just humans. It's like where can you apply this to animals now? Like
Oh wow.
for like
Yeah.
the Beowulf movie, they recorded a horse. Um, and the company Motion Analysis, they do a lot of that's the sorry the system that we're using. They do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of medical research with it as well. So they'll be like recording athletes doing different moves and stuff like that, and they'll take the data that they process from that, and they'll use it to change how their technique is, and to give them a really in-depth help on training and how they should adjust things.
Oh,
Um,
okay. That's
so
good.
it's
Ooh.
crazy how it can go everywhere. Like it's not just in the gaming space. It's also, film, like any of the Marvel movies. Like it's everywhere.
Oh God, I am such a huge Marvel fan. I know you didn't know that. I didn't. We never talked about it in class. So, but I am like just a terrible, huge Marvels fan. And even when some of the series suck, I still go and watch it. Because not every movie is a success, right? But
Mm.
I am such a devoted fan. I'll still go watch the sequel to a Superman or a Spider Man or whatever. I'm there.
Uh-huh.
I just watched Wakanda Forever.
I haven't seen it yet. It looks fun though. Like everything that was in the Black Panther stuff beforehand was great. So
Yeah,
it's on my list of things that I need to watch. But
I saw the first Black Panther. Yeah, it was great. I was hyped about it anyway in the first place, and it was so successful making all that money. I think they hit $1 billion. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
oh
And
wow,
yeah, it did really well. The first movie did really well, and then when the lead actor passed away, Chadwick Boseman, um, it crushed me. And
yeah, that
so
was crazy. It was so sad. He's
yeah,
so young too.
yeah, and so when Wakanda Forever came up, there was this big controversy. I'm like, what are you gonna do? The main actor died, you know. Well, you just work around it, you know. You come up with a suitable storyline and make it work, and that's what they did. You know, they did the
Hmm.
best they could without the lead actor. You know.
Yeah, and even if they had to replace him and stuff like that too, there's still the story being told is still powerful. It still has
Hmm.
it, every story needs to be told in some capacity, right?
Right, but the way
Um,
they did it was classy. So
mhm.
they it had to be a build up, and then, you know, I don't want to spoil it for you, but they did great for uh, the fact that Chadwick Boseman passed away. They did a wonderful job, you know. Um, so kudos to whoever was behind all of that, you know. So
Mhm.
they'll be able to continue. So,
That's
um,
good.
but anyway, so you kind of answered the next question about college, or I mean, it's kind of like I'm asking you, do you think college or having the experience is better? That wait, let's do that again. College or experience, which do you think better prepares you for a motion capture technician career?
I'd have to say experience, honestly.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
college was great. Like I learned a lot. It gave me the drive that I needed to really pursue things, and it gave me the tools that I needed to be able to get the experience that to get to where I am now.
Mhm.
Like it was the stepping stone and the blocks that I needed to get there.
Mhm.
And I mean, trying to think of what I actually use from college anymore.
I know.
Most of it, like really, like it was the camaraderie, the like challenging yourself to push for something more than just a grade,
Mhm.
for actually learning something and grading it and really becoming that kind of thing. And it gives you the opportunity to see where you like fit into this, where your interests actually lie.
Mhm.
Because it's easy to say like, oh, I want to be in video games, and then you get there and it's like, oh, well, programming is hard. I'm gonna try design, and
Right.
design is really hard. I'm gonna try art. It's like,
Right.
well, I can't draw a stick figure to save my life. Fuck.
Me too. I can't
So
draw
like,
either.
it does give you the intro to the experience that you need to take you further.
Okay.
So I would say that it's definitely worth looking into like a trade school kind of thing
Mhm.
like that if you're not sure,
Right.
because it's easy to put yourself into debt pretty quickly. Like speaking from personal experience on this, I started off in a programming track going to Marquette University,
Mhm.
and I learned very quickly that I didn't want to do programming.
Right. Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to get into games, and I thought that that was the path that would take me there,
Yeah.
and it wasn't ultimately. Like it was just something that I could do, but I had no passion for it. Like it wasn't what was getting me up in the morning. It wasn't what was driving me to get there. It was just I need to get through this project to get on to the next one, I guess, kind of thing.
Right.
Like it was not what I wanted to do. But then moving on after that, getting into animations, like this is the thing that actually gets me going. This excites me. This is in the way like this was the thing that I was looking for. Like it was what really clicked and just really stuck through and was like, wow, this is
Okay.
amazing. This is so much fun.